Saturday morning. Yeah, don't call it a comeback. The Dubs have been
Why
here.
not?
They've been here for years, but
It was totally a
they were
comeback.
down 14 points at the break in Game 2 against the motivated Mavericks, their third largest playoff halftime deficit under Steve Kerr. But they won the previous two, and Clay had 15 points. He was one of 6 Warriors in double figures. That made it a 9-point game. Then Andrew Wiggins to Kevon Looney. He's going to beat the buzzer, and I mean, they had to review it, make sure the ball was through the cylinder by the time the red light went on, and it was. He had 11 in the third quarter. He finished with playoff career high 21 points. Clay to Otto Porter Jr., or like OP Trey. He was 4 of 4 from distance.
The role players stepped up so big.
Massive. Yeah, I'd smile too if I was Steve Kerr. Their first lead of the game at 86-85. Steph working on another 30-point game in his postseason career. 46th 30-point game in the playoffs for him. And then Curry going to drive and finish through Luka Doncic, who was just one man. I mean, he had a 40-point game, but it was not enough. Curry's fired up. Dubs scored on all but 5 possessions in the final 9.5 minutes of the game. That is finishing strong. They take a 9-point lead after the free throw. And then Clay, drive and kick to Steph. And here's,
nice.
You think he knew, Hannah? He gives it a night-night. Night-night. Just don't let the bed bugs bite. Dave McMenamin, more from San Francisco.
For all the star power the Warriors and Mavericks possess, Game 2 of the Western Conference Finals and those MVP chants belong to Golden State center Kevon Looney. Sounds a little improbable, a little wacky, a little loony, right? Kevon Looney went from role player to revelation on Friday night.
It was nerve-wracking. I ain't shot the free throw in like 3 weeks in the game, so I'm trying to focus on making the free throw, but it was cool moment for me.
I thought Loon was just brilliant. He's always been a guy we could trust in the playoffs. And to have him now, I don't know where we'd be without him, frankly, because he's just a huge part of our team.
With the Mavs controlling the action, Looney had a game-changing stretch in the third, fueling the Warriors' comeback. Then, early in the fourth, he set up fellow Milwaukee native Jordan Poole with an assist and a screen to free him up from 3.
Jordan Poole behind Looney, shoots the 3 and scores! Poole with a triple!
The Dubs went up 5 and went on to win with Looney's career-best 21 points, harkening back to his prep days with Poole.
The little kid in me is so excited. So excited just because I grew up watching Loon. I love playing with Loon. I played against him when I was young, and he had 40, so I'd rather be on his team.
It was the first 20-10 playoff game for a Warriors center since Robert Parrish in 1977. When informed about the Parrish connection, Looney told me with a smile, I need to remember that stat so I can tell somebody else about it. There's no need to, Kevon. You already had an entire arena pumping you up. In San Francisco, I'm Dave McMenamin, ESPN.
All right, Dave, we appreciate that. Kevon Looney. I'm just chuckling at the fact that Kevon Looney can go for 21 points and Dallas gets no help beyond Luka and Jalen Brunson. The game of his life for Looney, just the 4th Warriors player with 20 and 10 while shooting 70% in a game in their postseason history. Before Game 2, he'd never scored 20 in any of his first 421 career games, including the postseason. And ahead on SportsCenter AM, much more on these Dubs who keep winning. Corey Alexander going to join us live to explain just how Kevon Looney was so effective against these undersized Mavs on both.
JB, I got to do it. John Blair, Bickerstaff after. And JB, you've had to game plan for games against both Steve Kerr's teams and Jason Kidd's teams. What stands out to you about how they approach the game and what they're going to do tonight in Game 1?
Just how dynamic they are. They're both dynamic, but they're completely different in how they get it done. If you take Golden State, for example, Golden State gets done by movement, right? It's not only ball movement, but the 2 guys that you're chasing around the floor, and Steph Curry and Klay Thompson, are 2 of the most lethal guys offensively, but you don't get to just stare at them and see where they are. You have to go out and find them. You have to chase them. You know, you got big guys that have to be alert to their movement. And then with Luka, it's a lot of pick and roll, right? So it's more stationary offense than the movement, but you got a guy who's such a dynamic playmaker that he can make all the reads, and he just waits for the defense to make a mistake. And then if you don't make a mistake, he just scores it himself. So they're both dynamic. You can't say one is better than the other because obviously they're both capable of getting it done.
I'm sorry, I looked over there for a second because Richard almost just broke our table, so that's cool. If we're talking about game planning for Steph Curry and Luka Doncic, two of the most potent players in the game today, what stands out to you about what adjustments they're going to need to make?
Well, that's the fun part of the playoffs, right? And that's why you get into coaching and try to figure out, can you match wits with that guy that's across from you? Both of them are, like I said, extremely dynamic. With Luka, you know where he's going to be. Luka's going to be in front of you. He's going to have the ball in his hands. They're going to bring multiple people to play pick and roll with him, and then they're going to space the ball, space the floor around him. With Steph, he's going to be all over the place. And I think that's where he's so difficult is he's going to be on the baseline sometimes. He's going to be handling it sometimes. He's going to be trailing. He's going to fill the corner. So he's more difficult to locate. But obviously, they're both capable of getting the job done with the ball in their hands.
Richard, why the stank face?
Well, because that little spin step back three is disgusting. Like that. Like we just gloss over it because he does it all the time. We don't see many guys do that specific move. Steph does it. I think we've seen James do it, James Harden do it. And I'd even say like Kevin Durant. But that little in the corner, post up, step back spin like that, you can't guard it, and he does it so effortlessly. Like there's just nothing you can do in those moments.
Zach, who is tougher to defend in your estimation, the Mavericks or the Warriors?
As a team, I think the Warriors just are so different that it takes teams, you can see in playoff series, it takes a game or two to get used to playing against them after playing. You can talk about this.
Oh, yeah.
You guys had trouble. Those first two games are like, boom.
Worst two losses combined in NBA Finals history. Like our game one and game two combined total score. Because it just, we had cruised through the Eastern Conference, and then you get there, and they're a different monster. If you're in the Western Conference, you get them 4 times a year. If you're in the Eastern Conference, you only get them once or twice. So it's like, even then, those first 2 games are literally just trying to figure it out.
Just trying to get your sea legs. Yeah. Individually, I mean, Luka is just a killer.
Yeah.
Because there's nothing you can do with him. He's too big. He can see every pass. And to the point you just made, the hallmark of a superstar is he can beat you with shots that you're supposed to live with as a defense, with floaters, with step backs. He can make enough of them that you'll still lose the game.
Yeah, and when you think about Golden State, right, Coach JB was right. You talk about the player movement, the ball movement. In order to beat them, you also got to have IQ on the floor. Like, the first step of defense is communication. If you're not communicating on those switches or those back picks or those pin downs, whatever the case may be, you're dead bird, tall grass. So that's what I saw with the Memphis Grizzlies. Like, it was so many times I'm like, how did y'all miscommunicate this switch? This is Steph Curry. Why is Jaren Jackson Jr. not up on the screen when he's supposed to be when the Steph Curry is coming off the pick? But when you look at Luka, he giving me that LeBron James type vibe, where it's like, okay, how can I actually guard him? Do I send a double team? You really can't, because he's so good at picking the defensive apart, on time, on target passes. So it's going to be a fun series. That's why I'm not picking either one of them.
JB, when you were coaching against Luka,
Is that allowed?
It is allowed.
Yeah.
He makes his own rules. I just, it's Perk's world. We all just live in it. But when you were coaching against Luka this year, would you say that you saw the potential for them to not only make it out of the first round for the first time, but push all the way through to the Western Conference Finals?
We played him late. We played him early in the year, and we were able to beat them down in Dallas, and then we played them late, and they beat us in Cleveland. And you saw the trajectory and how they were trending. You saw that, obviously they talked about his conditioning earlier in the year, and he addressed that, and to where he is now, to be able to have to carry a team. And I think with his skill set, the way that they improve defensively, I think that's one of the things that we're missing here too, is we're talking a lot of offense. But if you look at these conference finals, the defense is going to be what gets it done. We saw it last night. Like, you're going to have to defend, and they've improved on the defensive end of the
Man, I can't wait for this game. It is the first time, by the way, that the Mavs and the Warriors have faced off in the playoffs since that We Believe upset. So this is going to be fun.
Back with on Get Up, and if you like last night's game, check this out. Western Conference Finals get started tonight in Golden State. The Warriors and Mavericks meet in the playoffs for the second time. The other being in 2007 when the 8th-seeded Warriors beat the top-seeded Mavericks. Remember that? For this season, Dallas won 3 of 4 against Golden State. This year, Luka became the 3rd player all-time to average 30 points, 10 rebounds, 5 assists to his first 10 games of the postseason, joining Giannis and Oscar Robertson. And for Steph Curry, he became the 4th player to average 25 points in each of his first 2 series of a postseason at age 34 or older, joining LeBron, MJ, and Kareem. That's the kind of talent we're looking at in this one. And look at the odds.
Wow.
Here we go. Warriors and the Curry minus 220 series favorites against the Mavs, and they're 5-point favorites in Game 1 according to Caesars. Golden State has yet to drop a game at home this postseason, standing a perfect 6-0. What are the Mavericks to do? Vince, I come to you first. How do the Warriors, though, they got this big challenge ahead of them in Luka. How do they slow down Luka Doncic?
Well, I have a couple of things, questions that I want answered. But first and foremost, I want to know, how are they going to guard him? Pat, I heard you talking yesterday on Get Up as far as who you start on him. But I think Golden State puts multiple bodies on him. I like Wiggins guard him. You have to change it up because as a superstar, as a scorer in this league who has the ball a lot, you can't give me the same look every time, because when you do that, and I figure you out, I'm going to beat you. So I like the fact that Golden State has multiple guys that can guard him. Even Iguodala, he might not play much, but you get Wiggins. Obviously, his athleticism, his body type's a little different. You have Clay. Clay uses more positioning, moving his feet, hands-on. Then you have Draymond and Kuminga's athletic, and you have Draymond with his ability to bully and to muscle up where you don't, or he's not able to post up as easy in the paint. So that is one of the things I'm really looking for. How do they play him, and when do they change up? When he scores a couple of points, or just switch it up just because, out of timeouts? That's what I'll be looking for on one end, and on the other end, who is Luka going to guard? Because that makes a lot. That means a lot. Who he's going to guard?
Yeah, I think from a basketball standpoint, I think they're gonna wear him down. I think they've seen this movie before. If I was to say that, they've seen Kevin Durant, Westbrook, Western Conference Finals. They've seen James Harden, without anybody. They've seen James Harden with Chris Paul. They've seen LeBron James without Kyrie. They've seen LeBron James with Kyrie. If it's one team that is ready and that has been tested, like from against an individual who has this impact on the game, it's the Golden State Warriors. So I think this is a movie that they've been in, that they've seen before, and we all know the ending.
And that's why it's hard not to give them the edge. But Monica, we talk about who's going to guard Luka, because what's interesting, and I want to pop that stat up again about who guards him the most on Golden State, because that's really interesting. It looks like Wiggins is the one who usually takes him. But Monica, I wonder who spends the most time on Luka, because even though you throw multiple bodies on him, it seems like somebody's going to have the primary job of, we got to stop this guy.
Yeah, this is a terrific stat. Andrew spends the most time, but I believe statistically it's Klay Thompson who has had the most success in terms of actually slowing him down. But y'all, I continue to go back to, the Warriors are not going to just abandon the idea of guarding Luka. Of course not. They're going to defend Luka. But when you look back at games 1 and 2 of the Phoenix series, he had 45 and 35 respectively, and those were still double-digit losses. And so, yes, Luka is the great puzzle that you got to figure out. Most importantly, if the game is close, you got to be guarding him in the fourth quarter, because we know he has a knack for making big-time plays in the biggest moments of the game. But I just think guarding the rest of the supporting cast is just as important, because if they don't show up, Luka solo cannot outscore this Warrior squad.
Yeah, I'm
Go ahead, Vince. Let Vince jump in here. Go ahead, Vince.
Go ahead, Pat. Well, I just want to say this. I agree with you 1,000,000%. Because my question, and I said this last series, is that, yes, if you can frustrate you, Luka, and that's why it's important to who's guarding him. If you're able to frustrate him and he has to get off the ball, and he's getting off the ball to guys who are not scoring, well, guess what he's going to do now? He's going to take those shots. He said, I have to score to keep us in the game. And if he's doing that and they're not scoring, he scores his 45 not winning, you play right into Golden State's hands. Go ahead, Pat, my bad.
No, you're good.
Absolutely.
Can we show that list again of people that's guarding them?
Yeah, let's put up that list again. Go ahead.
Because we're missing a couple people. Steve Kerr, the mascot of Golden State, man. Everybody gonna be guarding this guy, man. I mean, you got to think, man. Golden State ain't, they done seen this movie before. They done seen it all, man. Everyone's gonna take their turn. Everyone gonna have their chance, and we're not even having Steph up here. Like, I like Steph. I'm not saying I like Steph against him the whole game, but on the perimeter, like Steph ain't no
Think about
slouch.
full court.
Yeah,
he ain't no slouch. Like he ain't gonna let you just blow past him all the time. So I mean, I like it. They're ready for it. They've seen this before.
So then let me ask a different question to you, Vince. What needs to happen for the Mavs to upset the Warriors in this series? Vince is like, I don't know if there is anything. Go ahead.
No, seriously. I mean, they're going to have to be consistent. They're going to have to find something that works. And adjustments in the playoffs, we all know this. Adjustments matter. You know what you do from the first quarter to second quarter could change. Obviously, we saw what Miami did at halftime. So adjustments are going to matter, and Luka's willingness to make adjustments because they're going to put bodies. They're going to have multiple eyes. They're going to close the gaps on them. But his willingness to make plays for others is important early, and that's going to be, the key in my opinion, because we saw a switch in Game 3 when Luka was willing to get off the ball. Luka, when he gets the rebound, throwing the ball ahead and allowing some of his guys to score or have an opportunity to score early in the offense. Then if he gets it back, he can be Luka.
Yeah, it just feels like when he believes in those other guys, and he does, and they adjust their game plan. Because remember what Dallas did against the Suns. Suns came out early. They were looking strong. And then Jason Kidd and his adjustments and getting the team involved changed the entire thing. So